Welcome everybody to my site about Virginia homesteads. I'm a licensed real estate agent in the state of Virginia, and I live over in the western part of the state near the Shenandoah Valley and near Lexington, Virginia. Now today I'm going to talk to people who are first-time buyers of homesteads. I specialize in that type of property, land, recreation. I've lived in a rural area for a long time in my life. I really appreciate it, even though I've traveled to many big cities in the country and the world. I still love the very quiet life of private life and homestead, and Virginia is a great state for it. But a lot of people who move out the country, they don't really know what to expect here. And if you move from a big city, say New York City, and you buy a place out in the countryside, you're going to have a septic and you're going to have a bunch of other things that you never had in the city. But today I'm going to talk a bit about vehicles, because when you go out in the countryside and you live there, there's a good chance that you're going to be some miles from a really big town. For example, where I'm at right now, even though I'm only 2 miles from a highway, it's a fairly steep gravel road down there. And if it gets snowed in here, it's pretty slippery. There's a few spots on this road that if you were to slide off, you would go down a 20 foot into a stream. So it can be very tricky. So when you live out in the country, there's a few vehicles. There's kind of the whole concept of having your transportation takes on a different kind of a character. So for one thing, I want to talk a little bit about the famous pickup truck. Everybody knows about pickup trucks. Well, there's a good reason why there's so many of them. And it started back in the early days of the automobile industry, when a lot of the farmers, all the city people had their cars, and they would take their little trucks out the countryside and go on these big old dirt roads. And the people out on the farm say, well, yeah, well, that works. It's great to have a little car, but I need to take some stuff. I got stuff to carry. So Henry Ford, in the early days of automobile manufacturing, they came out with the early days of the pickup truck. It was basically just like a body with a flat bed on it, and maybe you put some things on the side. And gradually, the farmers were very clever, and a lot of them invented all kinds of additions and things for the pickup truck. So the pickup truck became a mainstay of the United States, especially, and now even around the world. The pickup truck is such a very, very useful thing to have. And nowadays you can get some very beautiful, I have a four-door Tacoma, which I love. I almost got 96,000 miles on it now. It's coming up on 4 years, so it's about 24,000 miles a year. 25,000 basically. And I take that trick everywhere, and it goes on gravel roads, and it can do all kinds of stuff. I can have a bed in the back, and a pickup truck is a mainstay of country life. And if you're going to live in the country and you have to have one vehicle, just get yourself if you need to have a child or something in the back, get one of those four-door crew cab pickup trucks, because believe me, you're going to use a pickup truck if you live in the countryside, especially if you have a homestead, and you're going to haul some fertilizer, some dirt, or some rocks, or some firewood, or something you're going to haul. So you better get yourself a pickup truck. So that's just one vehicle. Now, there's other vehicles that come into play when you have a homestead. For example, where I live, you have to mow something. So a lot of people have a property they have to mow, and there's a good chance if you live in the country, it might be a fairly big piece of property that you got to mow. You might have to, let's say you mow 2 or 3 acres. Well, you're going to need something a little bit beyond the average mower. You don't want to be pushing that thing around for a couple of acres. So you get yourself you can get a used tractor, lawn tractor. Get a good one. Get other name brands. There's some really good ones out there. If you do a little research, I have a John Deere myself, and there's others out there. You get some good one, and you just maintain it. A simple engine. I recommend getting something more than the average 12 horsepower lawn tractor. I recommend getting like a minimum of actually 16, 20, 18. There's a twin cylinder Kohler engine. There's some big ones out there, 18.9 or whatever, cubic inch or whatever. There's some really good, or rather horsepower, 18 horsepower, 20 horsepower tractors. You can get them out there. And some of them have opportunity to have a lot of different attachments to them. You can get blades for them. You can get like various kinds of tillers in the back, and you can get snow blowers and things like that for some of these tractors. So do a little research, and they're really, really useful tool to have around. That being said, and there are times when you might even need that lawn tractor to go down to a property nearby and mow a lawn or something, and it's not surprising now and then to see out in the countryside someone will be going down the road with a lawnmower, but that's not particularly a good safe thing to do, but it can happen. Now, the other thing is you might want to have is the ATV. The four-wheeler ATVs are extremely useful. I've had a couple of motorbikes, little scooters and stuff that you can putt around the property, and they're okay, dirt bikes and so on, but a four-wheeler has so much more traction, and it's a little safer. You can go on like a steeper situation with an ATV, and you can put a trailer behind an ATV and carry stuff around, and some of them have racks and so on. So an ATV is a really good thing to have. I call a homestead at least 2 acres, and a lot of times it's even more. And even where I live, it's only 4 acres, but believe me, I drive that little four-wheeler around quite a lot, carrying firewood in my little box trailer in the back behind my tractor and so on. So there's a lot of very useful things that you can do with a four-wheeler, especially if you have multiple acres of land. Believe me, you'll want one. Other kinds of vehicles, you might say, there's a trailer. A nice flatbed trailer comes in extremely handy. You can move things around, firewood, garden supplies, fertilizer, dirt. If you have like I said, if you have a Tacoma or something similar, a good crew cab type of pickup truck, and you put a hitch on it, that trailer is going to be able to move all kinds of things and materials that you might need for your homestead, or anything if you want to go to the flea market, if you want to get some rocks for your property or move some firewood or something. Having a little basic flatbed trailer, it doesn't need to be really big, something like a 5x7, and you hook it up to your trailer and your pickup truck rather, and you're good to go. And you can also hook it up to an ATV. You can get a little ball on the back of an ATV and use the same little trailer to go all around your property and carry some things around, because if you're going to have a big property, you're going to want to move some tools and supplies around on your property. If you can't get a pickup truck, I would get like a small, like a SUV type of vehicle, something like a Subaru Outback or one of those type of vehicles. There's a lot of good ones out there. TR, there's a bunch of them out there, and you get one, and it maybe is smaller than a real pickup truck, but you can get a hitch on the back and you hook your trailer up to it, and get a four-wheel drive for sure, because or all-wheel drive, because then you can go around the country roads. Out in the countryside where I live, there's many miles of gravel roads, just gravel. And believe me, there's some of them, if it gets a little gravel up there, and if you fall off the road on one of those little back roads, you'll be out of luck for a while. You have to walk out. But if you have a four-wheel drive vehicle, it'll be very useful, because there's mud, there's snow, there's gravel, there's just slippery grass and so on that you might want to drive across. So it's always good to have at least an all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive vehicle if you're going to live out in the country, and have a hitch on it so you can pull a trailer and add to your usefulness of the vehicle. So I may have covered pretty much what I really need to cover about vehicles. It's pretty simple. Just think a lot about what you're going to be doing there in the property, and how are you going to move things around, and how long it is, and what kind of roads you have to go to get your things done and go to work and so on. So I appreciate people listening. I hope everybody comes back and hears some of my other videos. And please like and share if you enjoy the content, and hope to see you in some of my other videos. Thanks again for listening.